Hello and welcome to Bernadette's Way. Today I'm making banana nut muffins. I'm using a recipe from allrecipes.com by Lisa Krept. Making a large muffin and about 30 mini muffins. Let's get started. The ingredients to make the mini muffins, which will yield about 36 mini muffins or about 3 to 4 regular size muffins, are dry ingredients: flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. The wet ingredients is 3 to 4 bananas mashed up, white sugar, 1 large egg. I got this straight out of the fridge. And then 1/3 cup cut of room temperature butter. I'm using unsalted butter, and then it's melted. The rest of this, now that's all that for the wet ingredients for the batter. Now for the topping, this crumble that you see here, that nice piece right there, got a little sweetness to it. So that topping is going to be brown sugar. You see here, just regular brown sugar. Cinnamon, all-purpose flour is used inside the batter as well. And that 1 tablespoon that is not going to be room temperature, you see, or is not going to be quite room temperature, but isn't going to be melted either. It's kind of like to the touch where you can mix it in. You don't want it to be too hard, too cold in the center. So you might want to set that out until you're ready for it. Now let's get started making banana nut muffins. To start my banana nut muffins, I'm preheating my oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I'm going to start with my dry ingredients. There we go. And 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. There we go. Comes out to 263 grams. And now, for my baking soda and baking powder, for both of them it is 1 teaspoon, so it's half a teaspoon. So I'm putting 2 of these. These are out. One teaspoon or 8 grams of baking soda. And now a teaspoon of baking powder, 6 grams of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of salt. There we go, that's all my dry ingredients. 5 grams of salt. It's just the regular iodized salt. Give this a little mix. For my wet ingredients, I'm using 1 large egg. And it's lightly beaten. I need to melt 1/3 cup of unsalted butter. And then this tablespoon here this is for the crumble on top. It's 1/3 cup of unsalted butter, which comes out to 80 grams. I'm gonna melt this. It's gonna take about 1.5 minutes to melt that. Meantime, I'm gonna get bananas and sugar ready. Recipe calls for 3 bananas. I'm gonna use 4. Clean this up. And I need 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar. That's 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar, or 163 grams of white granulated sugar. And butter. Take about a minute to melt the butter. The bananas came out to 415 grams of ripe bananas. So now the egg is meant to be lightly beaten, so I'm not going to do this vigorously. Just going to make sure I smash up this little bit and it'll mix. See, there's still some chunks. I want chunks, but not big ones. Alright. So that is it. The bananas, sugar, 1 large egg, and 1/3 cup of melted butter. And now I mix my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients. Okay. What? Nice, good stir. There you go. It's just until all the dry ingredients mixes in with the wet ingredients. That's good. Set this aside, and I'm gonna make my topping. It's still a little too cold, so I'm just gonna put it on top of the oven, or you can put it in the microwave, but really short time in intervals. You don't want it to melt because it still needs to be like somewhat room temperature, but not quite, before you make the topping. So right now I'm gonna just mix in the dry ingredients. This is 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar. This is 74 grams of packed brown sugar. And I need 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. 1, 2. (26 grams of all-purpose flour, and 1/8 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, which is, oops. No, it might not register on here. It's half of 1/4 teaspoon. About half. Give us a nice stir. Mix all those dry ingredients together. This is the packed brown sugar. Chunks. This will melt away though on top. It's a pretty big chunk. Take that out. See, that's pretty breakable. I don't want to leave big old chunks of brown sugar, so I'm gonna take that out. Any ones that don't do that. Now you can use a fork to do this. I normally just find it easier to start off with a fork and then start using my fingers. See, this is still a little too cold. It'll be all right. And it has to resemble coarse meal, which you'll see there isn't these big old chunks here. You just try to break them up. I'm trying to make sure none of it gets stuck on my hand like that. So I take it off, because it's just all chunks of butter. And you need to mix it in with the dry ingredients. That's it. Right there. Yeah, it doesn't take too long. gonna do one big muffin and then mini muffins. So one big muffin, and the rest are gonna be minis. I spray it just a little bit, light coat bottom and around for when it poofs up. I'm gonna fill this all the way up. There we go. Nice good amount on here. So there's some light sprinkle. And this is all up to you of how much you want on there. There you go. It's ready to go in for about 18 to 20 minutes. Now if you use just the regular recipe, which the only change I made was the 4 bananas instead of 3. And that'll make over, no, it should make about 24 mini muffins. Let's see what this one gives me with one muffin and all these minis. I have to use my fancy cupcake liners, or mini cupcake liners. I need more than this. I'm just gonna put a scoop in here, which is about a tablespoon, just a small cookie scooper. So looks like I have to chop some up, so I am going to do that real quick. So I'm just doing 2 handfuls, it's about half a cup, 64 grams. This is only going for part of the recipe. I'll just add all together this part of the recipe. 94 grams. Saved it. All right. Looks like I'm gonna have a little bit more left over for the next one. Try to salvage a little bit of this. Okay. I'm gonna put this in and keep a close eye on it because the oven is at 375. Normally I bake these at 350, but I wanted to do these two at the same time. Just keep an eye on it. Don't let it dry out. Try to put these in the center. Let's see. I don't think it'll be too many. See, maybe I can get one more in there. This is what it looks like after 20 minutes, and it still needs some more. I can see it's really white right there. So that lets me know that it's just not baked yet on the inside. And you can see, well, it's not moving too much, but either way, you'll see. 20 minutes. Check it with a toothpick. Really gooey. Yeah. I'm gonna lower it down to 350 instead of the 375. Switch everything around. These haven't been in here that long. See how they're poofing up? Hard to see those. All right, I'm gonna do all that switching around. These are the minis. They took about 16 minutes. Nice close up there. Let these cool for a little bit before I try taking them out. It's about 6 minutes at 375 and 10 minutes on 350. And it came out nice and clean. Now this, I'm trying to get it in there. See? Golden brown. It's nice and clean. When it comes out, turn this around. Go. I'm going to let it cool for about 2 minutes or so, 2 to 5 minutes, and then I'm going to try to take it out. So it has been roughly 2 minutes. So I'm going to try to take the mini ones out first. And just let them finish cooling on here. Not too hard. Didn't puff up that much. Just a little bit over. The rest with pecans. It's full. The pan's already nice and cool. Alright, comes right off. There you go. I'll cover these so they can finish cooling.